This video serves as a showcase of various uses for engineered wood products. I've flipped a couple of houses while I've worked at APA, and I wanted to show a video of different ways that I've used engineered wood products. So this, I'm going to move quickly because there's a lot of pictures. This is all these pictures. You can go back to Zillow and check them out. You look up the address there. So right off the bat, let's start with the first. Right in the front, I have here, there's a couple of GLULAMs. Sometimes when we test GLULAMs, a large portion of the end of them are not broken after it's been tested. So we can cut those off and utilize those for alternative purposes. I've seen them used for workbenches in the shop or different things like that. I decided to use mine, a couple of them here, to kind of terrace this little area in front of the front door there. And I used some lamp stock, did some long spanny testing from some GLULAMs, and I cut those to fit behind these lights, and I had to kind of match the profile because there's lap siding here. That was a bit of a challenge, but it worked out pretty good. And then inside the house here, we got plywood planks. That seemed to be a pretty popular thing on Pinterest back when I was doing this, and so I thought that would be something worth doing. And so I did that and used some more of that lamp stock here for a little shelf, coat hooks there. All the trim in the house is leftover material that was reclaimed from tested stuff at work. And then here's a little, this is kind of hard to see here in this picture, but this is a baby gate that I made out of plywood. It's some double swing hinges there. And that worked out pretty good there. Let's go here. Here's the kitchen. This is, I used MDO. We had some MDO come in, that we had some leftover sheets, and so I used that. I got some Formica, and I used a little router, and I made the backsplash here and all the countertops in the kitchen here. And so that was good use of some leftover engineered wood products. View, more trim around the windows, trim around the base. And then I don't have a picture of it. I wish I did, but right here you can kind of see on either side of the fireplace, there's some strips there. Those are, I had attached a fence, so to speak, that came out a ways from the wall and protected my kids from getting too close to the wood stove there. And that was made out of plywood. And then, let's see here, some more of that MDO plywood that was used for a counter. And then here's some plywood that was used in the window for air conditioning unit. That's pretty typical. Oh, let me go back real quick. Here's another baby gate I made out of plywood, just planks with a little frame. Trimmed it out. This is the master bedroom. We had there was a stacked 1x6s that made some decking material that we had come in several years ago, and they had some single ply of it for testing long spanny, and those were about 16 feet long, so we were able to run those across the ceiling, wall to wall, and use that to cover up the popcorn ceiling. And then I have some more of that material cut for around the windows, base. And then this is plywood, actually just ripped into planks and face nailed to the studs. And that kind of gave it a little bit more of a rustic look in this room. Let's see here. This is a plywood closet, actually. It's a portable plywood closet. You can kind of see there's a little bit of a gap there at the bottom. There's wheels mounted up underneath so that we could move those to where we needed them. Gave us a little bit more freedom in the room to not have an actual section framed out for it. And then there's the other boys' room. Same thing in here, another closet. And then, let's see, I don't have anything in here. The basement was done in all plywood, except the trim. The trim was some southern yellow pine that we had leftovers of. But the plywood was, it was ripped and chopped to length, and then I got a couple of special router bits that allowed me to do tongue and groove, and so I put those up We just did a whitewash, left it natural on the ceiling there. Then the accent wall was different colors that were kind of washed into it. That worked pretty good. See, we did the same thing in the bathroom and in the closet, or no, not the closet, the laundry room. And then here we have a couple of shelves. Those are done in plywood, and just put a little trim piece on the front and nobody can tell. Here's a shed that I built. This has CLT here for the ramp. Treated it with copper treatment for ground contact. Put some shingles on it for traction, and it's the shed. The door is actually up a little bit higher than I wanted it, but based on the materials that I had, it was put that way because we have 6x6 GLULAMs with 9.5-inch eye joists perpendicular on top of that for the floor with 3/4 plywood. And then there's LVL for the studs. So they're pretty straight. And then this is OSB siding on the face. And I think it's either OSB or plywood for the roof sheeting. That's pretty typical use for those. And then that's the end of that house. And then the other house we are living in now and are actually sold it. We'll be moving out in a couple of weeks. This one I wrapped the whole house in the new OSB siding and did the trim around there. Let's see here. It's a duplex, so my mother-in-law lives in one side and we live in the other. Let's see here. Inside we had some more of that lamb stock or the single ply of that decking material left over, and so I ran some underneath this window here. We had there was baseboard heating, and there were some significantly large holes behind it in the sheetrock, and I didn't feel like doing a whole bunch of repairs to sheetrock, so we just opted for covering it with this nice wood and did a face nail. Same thing, a little bit of white paint and give it a little bit of that rustic look. And then on the ceiling we have some full panels of plywood, some thinner plywood, and we were able to cover up all that popcorn. There was concern of asbestos with that, so it's just easiest to cover it up. And then we have some dimensional lumber that was ripped to make some trim. And then around all the doors and the windows and along the base in this house, we used Nordic pine scaffold planks that were tested, and we were able to cut the ends off and rip them and route them to get a nice radius edge on the front, and then put those in everywhere. And then right here behind the couch is some vinyl flooring that's on top of 3/4-inch plywood to get it to be the same level as the carpet that's there. Let's see here, what else we got? Got a little entertainment center here. We built that when the kids were really little. Put everything up on the top shelf, put the TV up, and it keeps the kids from getting to those kinds of things, and worked really well. Underneath the vinyl flooring here is also some plywood. We joined a couple of rooms together to make our kitchen and dining room significantly larger. This is underneath this sheetrock is a GLULAM. There used to be a wall here, and this was a third bedroom. So we were able to kind of take this third bedroom and make it our dining room, so we had room for our family of 6. And then this door over here goes to the third bedroom that was for the other side. So now there's 2 bedrooms on her side and 3 on ours. There's plywood underneath there. This the track for this style of closet door runs on a track that you put on the floor, and it was easy to just put a strip of plywood underneath that to get that to be solid and not have to worry about dealing with the carpet too much there. And so that worked really well. Inside all of the closets, I don't have any pictures of it, but there's shelves at various positions so that you can have buckets of clothes or various things inside, and above where everything's hanging up. Let's see here. Here's my bed that I built. This is at a 3/4 inch plywood, and it's got these little buckets in there that you can kind of slide in and out pretty easy. Fits really well for storage. More of that trim, Nordic pine everywhere, plywood and trim on the ceiling. Kids' room, same thing. And there's even use for like leftovers of engineered wood products like plywood. You can just use a strip of it. For example, these cabinets were in the kitchen when we bought the place, and we put them out in the garage. But if you just run a strip along the wall, you can run screws into the studs and then put the cabinet on top of that, and that gives it extra support, so you don't really have to worry too much about overloading those cabinets. Here's outside. Here's a couple more sheds. These ones I opted for doing 2x6 aluminum on some tubing for putting the shed right on the ground. I had a friend that got me some material for that, and then the flooring in here. So normally you don't have such large spans between studs or joists, floor joists, but with this one it's 48 OC, and my flooring material is 1.75 inch thick LVL 4x8 sheets, and so we were able to span 4 feet without incident inside the shed. And so I've got just 3 sheets laid down on top of the aluminum. That worked really well. And then dimensional lumber for the framing, and OSB siding and OSB sheathing for the roof. And that worked pretty well there. I built 2 of them. There's one here and one probably about 5 feet away from it, from my mother-in-law. And this, let's see here, this is the backyard. And that's the garden from last summer. There's the other side for the shed. I think that's it. Yeah, so there's a lot of different ways to use it. There's your typical use, and then there's additional uses. You can find different things, and Pinterest is a good source for seeing what other people have done, being able to see and search visually. That's where I got a lot of my ideas, and it works really well.